There are men who enter a room and immediately everyone feels their presence. They may not say much, but when they speak, people listen. They don't appear tense or forced, yet they exude a natural aura of strength and control. And that is exactly what women find irresistible and what opens many doors in life. But how exactly can one develop this natural dominance? The problem is, many men think dominance means being loud, aggressive, or suppressing others. In reality, it's the exact opposite. True dominance comes from within. It radiates inner calm and effortless control. In this video, I will reveal 7 secret tricks that will help you develop this natural dominance. These are not superficial tips, but deep principles that will change your entire aura. Make sure to stay until the end, as the 7th skill is often neglected by men who lack dominance, even though it's something you can immediately learn. But let's start now. Here's the first point: the power of controlled body language. Your body language is the first thing people notice about you, long before you even say a word. Men with natural dominance share one thing in common: they move calmly and controlled. They don't rush through the room, make frantic movements, or fidget. Every movement feels deliberate and thoughtful. If you want to exude dominance, you should learn how to consciously use your body language. This starts with standing up straight, pulling your shoulders back slightly, and keeping your head up. Men who shrink or nervously look around appear weak, while a relaxed, upright posture immediately signals confidence. An important point is also eye contact. Dominant men aren't afraid to look someone in the eye, but they don't stare aggressively either. They maintain eye contact calmly and without showing uncertainty. When talking to someone, make sure to hold eye contact, not challengingly but confidently. Another example of body language is how you move in a room. Dominant men take up space. They don't awkwardly stand in a corner. They move as if they belong everywhere. When you enter a room, do so with confidence. Don't enter cautiously or uncertainly, but as if you have the situation under control. Psychologically, people automatically interpret calm, controlled body language as a sign of a high status. Men who move frantically subconsciously send signals of insecurity, and insecurity is the opposite of dominance. Now let's move to the second point: the art of slow, deliberate speech. Many men speak too quickly, mumble, or have an uncertain tone. A man who radiates natural dominance speaks slowly, clearly, and with a firm voice. This doesn't mean you have to speak loudly. Quite the opposite. The strongest men in a room are often the ones who speak quietly but with conviction. If you want to exude dominance, you should work on speaking more deliberately. This means pausing between sentences, emphasizing important words, and avoiding filler words like or like. This automatically makes you seem more confident and in control. A psychological trick to make your voice sound more dominant is to lower your tone slightly at the end of sentences. Men who speak with an uncertain tone often raise their voice at the end of sentences as if they are asking a question. This makes them sound unsure and submissive. On the other hand, a deep, slightly descending tone sounds much more confident. Let's move on to the third trick that makes you appear more dominant: the power of decisiveness. A man with natural dominance doesn't hesitate when it comes to making decisions. One of the biggest mistakes many men make is appearing uncertain when asked for their opinion. If you ask a woman where you should go for dinner and she says, "I don't care," you shouldn't ask her again. Psychologically speaking, people are naturally programmed to submit to strong leaders. This doesn't mean you should dominate or impose your will on others, but you should make clear decisions and take responsibility. A good example is successful businessmen. They don't wait for others to make decisions for them. They take control and set clear directions. This trait makes them successful not only in business, but also in interpersonal relationships. By the way, if you've liked this video so far, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any further tips on male-female dynamics or dating in general. Now let's move on to the fourth point: how to handle conflicts. Many men fear conflicts and try to please everyone, but this exactly radiates weakness. Dominant men aren't afraid to stand their ground, and they do it in a calm, controlled manner. A common mistake is becoming emotional in conflicts. Men who raise their voice to show dominance don't appear strong. They look like little children who can't control their emotions. True dominance shows itself when you remain calm, even in difficult situations. A good example is when someone treats you disrespectfully. The weak man lets it slide. The insecure man reacts aggressively. The dominant man sets clear boundaries without losing his composure. He says calmly and directly, "That's not how you speak to me." No yelling, no threats, just firm conviction. Psychologically, people who remain calm in stressful situations signal that they have control over their own lives, and this is the ultimate sign of dominance. Let's now move to point number 5, the ability not to justify yourself. One of the most common mistakes insecure men make is constantly feeling the need to justify their decisions. They think they owe others an explanation when they make a choice or behave a certain way. But this behavior signals submission. A man who justifies himself shows that he is dependent on others' opinions and needs their approval to feel comfortable in his own skin. A man with natural dominance thinks and acts completely differently. He understands that he doesn't owe anyone an explanation but himself. He makes decisions based on his own values, principles, and priorities. He is not influenced by external opinions or judgments because he is deeply anchored in himself. When he says or does something, he stands by it without falling into explanations or apologies. Let's imagine a typical everyday situation. A man decides to spend a weekend alone instead of with his friends or partner. The insecure man immediately feels the need to give a long explanation. He might say something like, "I'm really sorry I have to cancel, but I've been so stressed lately and just need some time for myself. I hope you're not mad." A dominant man, on the other hand, keeps it short and definite. I have other plans this weekend. That's all. He doesn't provide unnecessary explanations because he knows he doesn't need to justify himself. This behavior is crucial in many areas of life, whether it's in your career, relationships, or social environments. In the dating world, the difference is also clear. Suppose a woman asks a man why he didn't respond to her message immediately. The insecure man immediately feels pressured and starts justifying himself. Sorry, I was really busy and couldn't respond sooner. I didn't mean to make you feel like you're not important to me. A dominant man, on the other hand, stays calm and direct and simply says, I was busy. He doesn't explain further. He doesn't make unnecessary excuses because he knows his time is valuable, and he doesn't need to prove why he does what he does. Women respect men who stand by their decisions with confidence. Once a man starts justifying himself, he signals submission and unconsciously gives the other person a higher status. Dominant men avoid this by communicating their words and actions with unwavering conviction. This radiates confidence, which is impressive and attractive to others. Let's move to the sixth point. Control over your emotions. True dominance is not about how loud a man is, but about his composure. A man who is overwhelmed by his emotions and reacts impulsively shows that he has no control over himself, whether it's anger, insecurity, or fear. Every time an emotion causes him to act thoughtlessly, he shows that he is dependent on external circumstances. A truly dominant man, on the other hand, stays calm, even in difficult or stressful situations. Many men mistakenly believe that dominance means being loud and intimidating. They think they'll gain respect by raising their voice or intimidating others. But in fact, it's the opposite. A man who raises his voice or loses control of himself appears weak. A truly dominant man remains calm and always maintains the upper hand, no matter what happens. Women often subconsciously test men to see if they can easily be unsettled. A man who justifies himself or gets angry shows that he can be emotionally controlled, and this makes him less attractive. A man who stays calm, on the other hand, signals inner strength and self-assurance. The same principle applies to dealing with other men. If someone tries to provoke a dominant man, he doesn't react impulsively. He stays composed, looks the other person calmly in the eyes, and takes away their power. This ability to control emotions is one of the most important traits to exude real dominance. Now let's move to the seventh and final point in this video. The ability to say no. One of the strongest indicators of natural dominance is the ability to set clear boundaries. Many men are afraid to say no because they don't want to disappoint or upset anyone. But this behavior leads to them not being taken seriously or even being exploited. A dominant man, on the other hand, understands that his time, energy, and values are precious, and that he doesn't have to please everyone. This is especially evident in social and professional situations. Suppose a colleague asks a man to take on extra work, even though he already has enough to do. The insecure man would hesitate and usually give in. A dominant man, however, sets a clear boundary and says no when necessary. He doesn't provide a detailed explanation, doesn't feel obligated to give a long justification. He sets his boundary and sticks to it. The same applies in the dating world. If a woman asks a man for a favor he doesn't want to do, the insecure man will give in to please her. The dominant man, however, clearly and directly says, "No, I'm not doing that." By doing this, he signals that he won't be manipulated or pressured. Men who always say yes lose the respect of others. If someone realizes a man has no clear boundaries, they subconsciously perceive him as weak. Women lose attraction because they sense that the man lacks inner strength. A dominant man, on the other hand, stays true to himself. He says no when something doesn't fit into his life, and that's exactly what makes him attractive and respected. A man who learns to set clear boundaries automatically gains dominance and self-assurance. He shows that he won't be controlled by external expectations, and that makes him irresistible. Natural dominance is not about loud, intimidating power. It's a deep inner calm that manifests outwardly. A man who exudes this type of dominance doesn't need aggressive gestures or loud words. He convinces through composure, clarity, and control over himself. In conclusion, natural dominance shows itself not in loudness or aggression, but in inner calm, confidence, and clear principles. Anyone who controls their body language, speaks deliberately, acts decisively, and doesn't justify themselves automatically radiates strength. Equally important is the ability to stay calm in conflicts, control emotions, and set clear boundaries. Dominant men are not led by external expectations, but act based on their own conviction. And that's what makes them respected and irresistible to women. If you liked this video, I would appreciate a like. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any future tips. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.